About 9 months ago, I brought the Shimano Me7 mountain bike shoe. And in this video, I thought we would take a look at them now, 9 months on. How they have held up, how I have got on with them. We will be taking a look at the good and the bad. And finally, my final thoughts on the shoe. So to start, I brought these shoes with my own money to be primarily used for bikepacking trips. And since buying these shoes, they have been quite well used. In that time, with routes such as a coast to coast from Bournemouth to Watchet, around the Isle of Wight, 90 miles of Jurassic Coast, the Old Chalk Way, the Grand Union Canal, Trans-Cambrian Way, South Downs Double, the New Forest, the Lake District 300, the North Downs Way, and back from Dover, St Helen, the Gower, 24 hours as far north as possible challenge, 24 hours of New Forest, the Wiltshire Loop, East Devon Trail, the Cantyway, the Badger Divide, the Second City Divide, the Dorset Divide, 370 miles of smiles non-stop, the Yorkshire Dales 300, North York Moors, the Rebellion Way, and the Greater Ridgeway. And a bunch of other rides in all different conditions, from hot sunny days where the terrain was dry and dusty to wet and boggy. Rocky and smooth, with plenty of hiker bike sections as well. I've ridden long days in these shoes with the South Downs Double and 370 miles of smiles in a non-stop ride, where they were on my feet for about 40 hours. So they have been put through their paces and have seen every condition that you could possibly expect to use these shoes in. When I brought these shoes, I was considering to change the insoles, as the insoles tend to be the most personal preference part of a shoe. And because of that, I tend to find a lot of insoles that come with the shoes to be a bit, well, rubbish. However, I decided to just stick with the ones that came with the shoe, and I am pleased to say they have been comfortable for me personally, and I have never felt the need to replace them. But this is a very personal preference, so you may find yourself wanting to change these. So with all them bikepacking missions and heavy use, how have they held up? Well, you can see they have definitely taken a beating after 9 months of use. The most notable damage to the shoe is one of the flaps got slightly ripped. I'm not sure how exactly this happened, to be honest, but it probably got caught on some thorn bush or vine or something. It doesn't really affect how the shoe flap functions, apart from a few other outer material sections of the shoe starting to take a bit of damage, from the ankle collar having a couple of small holes, most likely caused by them bloody thorn bushes. The outside sections of the shoe has held up fairly well, all things considering. So if we flip the shoe over to check out the sole of the shoe, which is made by Michelin, this sole is claimed to be hard wearing and super grippy. So is it grippy? Yes. I want to say that with all the hiking, some of which has been over quite rugged terrain, wet rocks, lots of muddy trails, these shoes do indeed grip very well. And I have yet to find myself on my ass. They feel nice and sturdy to walk on, helping with walking over that rocky terrain. As for the wear of the soles of the shoe, over the last 2 months I have now started to see the sole start to wear down. It seems like over these last 2 months they have really started to wear down a lot faster than the first 7 months. Whether that is because of the rides, the weather, or just the harder material has now worn down, I'm not sure, but they definitely feel that they have started to wear down much quicker over the last couple of months. But overall, the sole is still grippy, and I'd say I'm fairly happy with how it's holding up. How long it has left, I'm not sure, but I will continue to push these shoes throughout the winter. Let's go over some of the downsides of the Shimano Me7. The first thing I found to occasionally be a bit of a pain is actually removing the shoe. The issue only really occurs after muddy days. To remove the shoe, you need to push down on the latch, but after muddy days, the latch tends to get a bit clogged up with mud, meaning you can't press the latch down. Not the end of the world, you just need to do a bit of unclogging, but can be a bit annoying if you want to loosen your shoe while riding. I kind of thought this would happen the first time I got my hands on these shoes, and I was right. The next thing I have found with this shoe is that it has been a bit of an issue for me with the ankle collar. Now, I like the ankle collar feature because it does stop most of the things getting in your shoe, but I have had the issue of when I am hiking, and I should say it only really happens on long hiker bike sections, that this ever really happens, it tends to start hurting the Achilles area, as it seems to cause a little bit of extra pressure on that while walking. So to remedy this, when I was on any long hike bike sections, I would loosen the shoe to help relieve that pressure. However, by doing that, it meant the shoe would be a bit loose, and as you can see, it has meant the inside heel section of the shoe have ended up rubbing through. I don't actually feel this in the shoe, but the damage is there. But they are the only two negatives I really have about this shoe, so let's take a look at what I do like about this shoe with the positives. The protection from rock strikes is very good on this shoe. I have had many rock bounce up and whack my foot, but I'm happy to say it has never hurt and has offered good protection from rock strikes and bashing into things along the trails. Now, I know the heel collar has the issue of added pressure for me, but this collar has meant I very rarely get anything inside the shoe. It's not 100% perfect, but I can count on one hand the times that I have had to stop to remove something from my shoe. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I have put this shoe through its paces with long days on the bike, even up to wearing this shoe for 40 hours plus without removing it. And I do find the shoe very comfortable on the bike. The shoe feels like it's not restricting my foot and is spacious enough to allow my feet to swell, which is important when choosing a shoe as your feet do swell over the course of a day of riding. The size I'm wearing is an EU 47, a UK 11.5, according to Shimano fitments. Shimano say to size up, but as they claimed their 47 was a 11.5 UK size, I went with that instead of a UK 12 that I normally wear but always want 11.5, and the fit for me has been great. Another positive thing that the cleat doesn't really ever get clogged up, as there is enough space around the cleat that I have found I've never found myself in a situation of having to unclog them. Also, these shoes have a removable cleat plate that the cleat bolts screw into instead of being built into the shoe. This turned out to be a very good thing recently, as when I came to replace the cleats, one of the cleat bolts was completely destroyed. So it ended up needing to be sawed in half to remove it from the shoe. The fact I could just remove the cleat plate was very handy indeed, and they are fairly easy and inexpensive to find replacements for. When I first brought these, I was a bit worried that they would be a bit bulky and a shoe that wouldn't dry out very quickly. But the first thing is they have been really good at just keeping all the water out of the shoe. They are not fully waterproof, but they do a good job at keeping rain or puddle splash out. Although this is slightly less effective with some of the wear and damage to the outer of the shoe now, it has been good. But also the shoe does dry out relatively quickly considering of the bulk of this shoe, especially while riding, and the shoe also drains very well. So my final thoughts on the shoe. I have been really happy with this shoe in the most part, and I feel with the amount of abuse I have given it, it has held up pretty good, and it's still got some life left in it yet. And I'm hoping it will last at least throughout the winter, and it has been generally a perfect shoe for UK conditions and trails for all year round riding. it keeps most of the water out and breathes well on hotter days. It's always easy to clip in and out of, and the only real downside for me is the ankle collar giving me a bit of pain while on long hiker bikes. The shoe retails around the £135 mark, which isn't cheap, but I feel with how the shoe has performed and been put through its paces throughout the last 9 months, it's not too bad of a price. With the use I have got from this shoe for the last 9 months, I think I would buy it again. I might even when I finally feel they have nothing left to give. So there we have it, guys. There is my final thoughts and a 9 months on take on the Shimano Me7's mountain bike shoe. And if you have found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you are not already. And keep smiling, enjoy the adventure.